There is a good chance you have driven your Peugeot for years and only ever used about half of what it can do. That is not your fault. The iCockpit was designed to look clean and simple, which means a lot of what Peugeot built into it sits hidden behind stalks, menus, and the key in your pocket. None of the 10 functions coming up cost extra. None of them need a workshop. They were switched on at the factory and quietly forgotten about. Counting down from 10 to 1, the last one still feels like science fiction. Number 10. The shortcut panel you were never told to customize. Look at the newer 308, the 408, and the latest 3008 and 5008. Below the main touchscreen there is a second, thinner screen. Peugeot calls it the iToggle panel. Most owners glance at it, see the radio and navigation shortcuts sitting there from the day they collected the car, and assume that is all it does. It is not. Every one of those tiles can be reprogrammed to whatever you actually use. You can drop your heated seats onto it so you stop digging 3 menus deep on a cold morning. You can pin your favorite radio station, your phone contacts, or the climate screen. On the models with a physical toggle strip, the idea is the same. The car ships with generic defaults because Peugeot has no idea how you drive. Spend 2 minutes setting it up around your own habits and the whole cabin starts to feel like it was built for you specifically. On the cars that let you save driver profiles, your infotainment preferences can be stored and pulled straight back up for each driver, so your setup and your partner's setup do not have to keep overwriting each other. It is the single, fastest way to make an iCockpit car less frustrating, and it costs nothing but a little time. Most owners collect the car, accept the defaults, and never once open the menu that would have saved them a small annoyance on every single drive. Number 9. Your key fob controls the windows. This one lives in the key in your pocket and almost nobody realizes it is there. Walk up to your Peugeot on a baking hot day and instead of getting in and sitting in an oven, you can vent the whole car from outside. Press the lock button a second time and hold it down. On most Peugeots, holding that button closes every open window and, on cars with the panoramic roof, shuts that too. If you have keyless entry, the same trick works by keeping your hand on the door handle sensor or holding the boot button. Now, closing the windows remotely is built into almost every modern Peugeot. Opening them remotely is the rarer version, and some of the newest models, like the current Rifter, can drop the windows from the fob as well to flush all that hot air out before you climb in. If your car has it, you found a proper hidden gem. If it only closes them, you still have a genuinely useful party trick most owners will never know exists. Number 8. Open the boot without touching it. If you have ever walked up to your car with both arms full of shopping and no free hand for the key, this is for you. On higher trims fitted with keyless entry, there is a sensor tucked under the rear bumper. Give a short kick or wave your foot under the middle of the bumper while the key is on you, and the tailgate opens on its own. It only works when the key is on you, which stops it from opening at a car wash or while you are driving. Here is the honest part most reviews skip. This kind of sensor can be temperamental, so the timing matters, and you often need to step back after the kick to let the tailgate swing up rather than standing right against it. There is also usually a switch inside the boot to turn the foot function off, which is worth knowing if you have a tow bar fitted, since a bar sitting behind the bumper can interfere with the sensor. Once you learn the timing, though, it is the kind of thing you use every single week, and then desperately miss the moment you drive anything without it. Number 7. The driver display does far more than show your speed. That digital screen sitting up high in front of you is not fixed. Using the scroll wheel on the wheel or the little control on the end of the wiper stalk, you can flick the whole layout between completely different presets. There is a minimal view that strips everything back to just your speed for a calm motorway drive. There is a full navigation view that throws the map directly in front of your eyes, so you never glance sideways at the center screen again. There is a driving data view with your consumption and trip details, and a personal view you can tailor yourself. On some cars, the display even has a 3-dimensional effect that lifts the important information visually closer to you. And on models fitted with the head-up display, your speed and directions are projected onto the glass in your line of sight. The trick worth learning is to set up the navigation view before a long, unfamiliar journey and the minimal view for your daily commute, then flick between them in a second without ever looking away from the road. owners who never touch these presets are staring at one fixed layout for the entire life of the car, when there is a whole menu built to reshape it around whatever they happen to be doing at that moment. Number 6. The headlights think for themselves. Peugeot builds a camera into the top of the windscreen near the mirror, and one of the smartest things it does is manage your main beam for you. Switch on the automatic high beam function, and the car handles the full beam entirely on its own. On a dark, empty back road, it lights the whole scene up. The instant that camera spots oncoming headlights or the tail lights of a car in front, it dips automatically, then flicks the full beam back on once the road is clear again. It works best above roughly 40 kilometers an hour and in properly dark conditions, and it takes the constant flicking on and off completely out of your hands on a long night drive. One thing to know is that not every trim has the camera hardware to support it, so this is one to check on your own car. When it is fitted, plenty of owners still leave it switched off simply because they never knew it was an option waiting for them in the menu. Flick it on once and you may never go back to doing it yourself. Number 5. Your Peugeot has an off-road brain hiding in a dial. If your model came with advanced grip control, you are carrying around a clever traction system that a lot of owners treat as a mystery dial they never turn. It is not four-wheel drive, but it changes how the front wheels find grip depending on the surface, with dedicated settings for snow, for mud, and for sand, plus a standard road mode and an option to loosen the traction control entirely. Paired with it on many cars is Hill Assist Descent Control, which crawls the car down a steep, slippery slope at a slow, fixed speed while you keep your feet off the pedals and simply steer. The point is that you match the mode to the ground before you get stuck, not after. Snow mode on a frosty driveway, mud mode on a slick campsite track, sand mode if you ever end up on a soft beach approach. For anyone who lives somewhere with real winters or who takes a caravan onto a wet grass field once a year, this quietly turns an ordinary family Peugeot into something far more capable than it looks. Worth checking your spec sheet because not every trim has it, and almost nobody who does have it ever moves that dial off the default road setting. Quick thing before we get to the top 4, if your Peugeot does something clever I have not mentioned yet, drop it in the comments below because I go through the comments and the best ones end up in the next one of these videos. And if this has been useful so far, subscribing genuinely helps more than you would think. Right, the top 4. Number 4, the cabin can be programmed to change its whole mood. On GT and GT line models, there is a feature Peugeot calls Amplify, and it is one of the most overlooked things in the entire range. With one selection, the car shifts the interior between 2 moods. Boost sharpens everything, waking up the ambient lighting, the sound and the driving feel for when you want the drive to feel alive. Relax does the opposite, softening the light, calming the audio, and settling the cabin for a long, tiring motorway stretch. On cars equipped with it, this even ties into a built-in fragrance diffuser, so the car can actually change how it smells to match the mood you picked. And if you have the massaging seats, you are sitting on a system with multiple massage points built into the seat back that will work on you while you drive. The fragrance side is the part people find hardest to believe until they try it, because the diffuser can switch between 3 different scents and gently release them into the cabin on its own. People pay serious money for exactly this kind of ambience in far more expensive German cars. A good number of Peugeot owners have a version of it already fitted from the factory and have simply never opened the menu that switches it on, driving around in a plain grey cabin the whole time. Number 3. The boot is cleverer than it looks. Practicality is where Peugeot quietly excels, and the boot on cars like the 3008 hides 2 tricks. The first is an adjustable floor. On many trims, it sits in 2 positions, giving you a hidden compartment underneath for valuables or charging cables, and a flat load lip when you raise it. The genuinely clever part is that on some cars, the false floor slides out of the boot toward you by around 30 centimeters and locks in place, so you can load heavy bags at waist height without leaning in over the bumper. The second trick is the fold-flat rear seating, which Peugeot builds so that a single pull drops the rear bench down into a nearly flat load bay without any wrestling with straps and headrests. Anyone who has ever tried to flatten seats in a rival car by hand knows exactly how much of a relief that is. These are the sort of details that never make the brochure headline but end up being the thing you use most. Number 2, there is an emergency system in your car working silently in the background. This is the one nobody thinks about until the day it matters. Connected Peugeot models carry a built-in SIM card and a GPS module, completely separate from your phone. That powers a system usually called Connect SOS. If you are ever in a serious accident, the car can automatically place an emergency call, share its exact location, and pass details to the emergency services, even if you are unconscious or cannot reach your phone. There is also a physical SOS button in the car you can press yourself to summon help. The part that surprises people most is that this safety system typically runs without a subscription, because it uses the car's own embedded connection rather than eating into your mobile data. You will probably never need it, but knowing it is quietly watching over every journey, ready to act the moment you cannot, is worth far more than any gadget on this list. Number 1. You can hold a real conversation with your Peugeot. This is the one that still feels like science fiction. Peugeot was one of the first car makers to build the ChatGPT artificial intelligence straight into the car through the iCockpit voice assistant. You activate it by simply saying, "Okay, Peugeot," and then asking whatever you like. Arriving in a new town, you can ask which monuments are worth seeing, hear the history of a place, and then tell the car to navigate you there. On a long trip with bored children in the back, you can ask it to invent a quiz or tell a story to keep them busy. You keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel the entire time. The remarkable part is that Peugeot rolled this out to existing owners too, not just buyers of brand new cars. On eligible models with the connected voice feature, it arrives as an over-the-air update with no dealer visit at all, offered free for an introductory period, and then as a small subscription after that. You activate it through the connected services store, sign in, and an update quietly loads itself into the car while you drive. It works across a huge slice of the range, from the little 208 up through the 2008, 308, 408, 508, and the newest 3008 and 5008, as long as your car has the embedded voice recognition feature. One honest caveat worth knowing is that it is built for questions, conversation, and navigation ideas rather than taking full control of the car. So treat it as a knowledgeable passenger rather than a chauffeur. Even so, most owners have absolutely no idea that their ordinary family hatchback is now carrying a conversational assistant that would have sounded like pure fantasy just a few years ago, and that it landed there without them lifting a finger. 10 functions, all built into a car that most owners are convinced they already understand completely. The strange part is that not one of them needed a dealer, a workshop, or a single aftermarket part. Every one of them was sitting there from the day you drove off the forecourt, waiting for somebody to actually use it. If even one of these was new to you, go and try it in your own Peugeot this week, because there is a real chance you have been driving around without it for years. And there is still plenty more hidden in that car than we managed to fit into one video.